All right, I'm out on a mission right now. I am going to the Entity House. Yes, here I am in sunny Southern California. There's the sun to prove. That proves it right there. So, have no car, so gonna have to be taking some public transit. Wish me luck. Hello and welcome to another episode of Ask a Paranormal Investigator. Yeah, it's been a little while. Sorry about that. But, this seemed like such a great opportunity. The Entity House. Gonna walk to the Entity House. Well, turned into a walk. Originally, I was gonna take public transit. All right, well, it appears the bus is delayed. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go. But, there's some creepy stuff all around here. So, see that place. Ooh, don't know what's going on there. It was late, so I started walking, and I walked quite a while, and it was approaching the next bus stop, and there it was at the corner. So I missed it. So I ended up having to walk the whole way, which round trip was about 5 miles. Not too bad. So anyway, this video turned out to be more difficult than I expected. At first, I wanted to make a funny little video of me walking to the Entity House and making these pithy little comments and, basically talking about how terrifying it is in LA with the sun and the, palm trees. Basically just make fun of the whole situation. I am exactly 1 mile away, and I can already feel the thickness in the air. It's probably just humidity, but it could be that demon. We will see shortly. It is truly, truly terrifying here. You see, I used to think that any based on a true story horror movie was basically nothing but, a studio taking advantage of a family that's had their situation sensationalized, and it's just a dysfunctional family that needs counseling help rather than supernatural excuses for their behavior. Now, this also meant that the victims were stupid for believing the paranormal investigators in the first place, and they deserve to be made fun of. Yeah, that's the problem with being a self-described skeptic. You see, we're often nothing but cynics in disguise, and it's not a very good disguise at that. We pretend to care about the victims, so we want to fight to put an end to the frauds, and we get rather aggressive about it. But at the same time, when it suits us, we make fun of the victims or the believers because we're obviously superior and know more than they do, so they deserve to be made fun of. Anywho, as I refreshed my memory of the Entity case, I decided to dig into some new areas that I hadn't really looked at before. And the fact that there were suffering humans behind this really started to get more in my face and really started to weigh on me. So let's recap. Doris Bither and her 4, not 3, children lived at 11547 Braddock Drive in Culver City, California in the early 1970s. Now, they suffered what is celebrated as the most documented paranormal infestation in U.S. history, although there's still really no solid hard evidence to support this. To be fair, there's no really hard evidence to support any haunting or anything paranormal. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means we don't have any evidence. Right? So it's hard to definitively say anything in any direction when it comes to that. Now, Barry Taft, one of the lead investigators on the case, he claimed that the house had been twice condemned. Doris's middle son, Brian Harris, on the other hand, claimed that's not true. And to be honest, I did some poking around and I couldn't find any evidence that house had ever been condemned by the city. And the house was also larger than it appeared in the movie. It's a 3-bedroom home. Let's say it has a 1134 square feet, so it's decent, and it has a cellar on top of that. So there was plenty of room for extra storage and everything else. They made it seem like it was nothing but a little box and just that much more horrible to live in. Now, the funny thing that never gets mentioned is that this house already had a reputation for being haunted. The kids were made fun of at school for living in the haunted house. It's said that the investigation took about 10 weeks. Now, the reality of that is when they first started showing up, they really kind of gave the family this we're here to help kind of feeling, that they were going to try to really solve this problem for them. But it ended up being a little bit more of they would come and get evidence and leave. And at the end of those 2 weeks, it was like, maybe once a week they would show up for a while and basically have like a big social event there. And then they would leave, and then the next week they'd come back. Now, this made the household that much more unstable, and it would feel to the residents like the activity got stronger, after every time they visited. And after those 10 weeks, it was kind of like, well, we got what we needed, from our investigation, the evidence we wanted. Thanks a ton. Good luck with the ghosts. At one point, the house was repossessed, and one of the neighbors purchased it. So at some point, he decided he didn't want to have anything more to do with it and sold the house out from underneath them while they were renting. So they moved to Carson, California. And there wasn't much in the way of paranormal activity in this new house, different house, but it was still hell. And the things that were haunting them at this house was the neighborhood and the bad school. It just wasn't a good place, and none of them enjoyed being there. So she then went to Texas, and the entity followed. She then moved back to California, and the entity followed. She passed away in 1995 from pulmonary arrest. Did the entity go back home? I looked up information about the property, and for quite some time, the same family has owned it. It's kind of stayed in the family. And the most recent residents and members of that family have been there for well over 20 years. And they have said on record that they've experienced nothing. Maybe the difference is the apparent stability that this family has that's living there now. Not so easy to take advantage of, possibly. But that's kind of a big question. If a house is already haunted, and we'll assume for a moment that hauntings are real, and if a house is already haunted, and then it follows somebody somewhere else to continue tormenting them, and they die, where does that leave the entity? I don't know, but it doesn't seem to be there. Now, one of the most important parts about all of this is if you're going to go legend tripping, like I did, and go out to a place like this, or the Amityville house, or whatever else, be respectful. That's really important. Don't knock on the door. Don't hassle the people. Don't say, is it haunted in there? Don't do any of that. It's not cool. People are just trying to live their lives. I think it is difficult to film something like this and remain respectful to the people who are there. So I recommend if you come out here, try to be as unobvious as you can. It's just not cool to disturb these people that are just trying to live their lives under such horrible demonic conditions. If they want that kind of attention, they'll invite that kind of attention. From Doris's terrible relationship with her parents and siblings, to the failed relationships with men and alcohol, to the strained relationships with her children, Doris Bither was haunted by a lot more than just Mr. Who's It. That's the big one. No matter what you believe about this case, Doris Bither was a victim, and she does not deserve to be made fun of. Like and subscribe and comment below if there's anything you'd like me to answer. If you have any crazy questions about famous cases, or, what a lot of people consider common knowledge about paranormal investigation or activity, let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer what I can. Thanks again for watching Ask a Paranormal Investigator. See ya.